In Part 1, we established the machine, a $4 million NDA, 20 years of silence, a 201-page federal complaint, 23 survivors, and a church with 15,000 weekly congregants who were told nothing. Today we follow what happened when the cracks finally showed. Because the cracks were not new. The warning signs came early. They were reported, and according to the consolidated complaint, they were buried, deliberately, repeatedly, and at cost to donors. This is the part of the story that the complaint calls the same playbook, run 3 times with 3 different pastors. Let's pull the record. The complaint's account of Harvest's institutional failures does not begin in 2021. It begins in 1999. That year, according to the complaint, the cook at Harvest Homes in Bucharest, a woman the children called Mami Tina, brought her concerns directly to missions pastor Richard Shute during a visit. She reported, the complaint alleges, what she had witnessed happening to children in her care. Shute, the complaint says, brought the report back to Laurie's deputy in Riverside. Nothing was done. Havsgard remained in Romania, funded at $17,000 a month, deposited directly into his personal bank account. The complaint also alleges that before Havsgard was even sent to Romania, his own sister had warned a Harvest lay leader about his prior history. That warning, too, went unheeded. 5 years passed. Then, in October 2004, Harvest authorized an inspection team to visit Romania. The missionaries on the ground, the complaint says, were direct with Harvest Inspector Steve Quarles. The complaint quotes them telling Shute, and I am reading this verbatim, "He needs to be on that plane with you when you leave tomorrow. He is an embarrassment to every single missionary and Christian worker." The inspection found, according to the complaint, conclusive evidence of abuse. It also found financial misappropriation, at least $5,000 a month spent without receipts or records. And yet Shute's reported response, as quoted in the complaint, was this: "He is very important because he's the face of the ministry. He's the one who goes and talks to the churches and raises the money. And we can't have him not be part of things." The inspection team had just confirmed abuse. The response was, "He's too valuable to remove." Havsgard stayed in Romania for 4 more years. The monthly payments continued. The children stayed in his care. In 2009, 5 years after the inspection confirmed what it confirmed, Laurie publicly praised Havsgard as, quote, "a pastor who faithfully served the Lord." He called Havsgard an example of, quote, "the impact that just one godly person can have." That statement is still attributed to Laurie in the public record. Now let's move to the cover-up the complaint calls the financial centerpiece. The case of Jeff Lassane. Lassane had been on Harvest staff since 1989. He reported directly under Laurie's organizational structure. He oversaw worship, pastoral care, family ministry, and all youth ministry. In 2014, Laurie wrote the foreword to Lassane's published scripture study guide. The endorsement read, quote, "He is a fantastic communicator of the Word of God. Whenever I hear him speak, I am blessed and built up in my faith." That is Laurie in print as recently as 2014. According to the complaint, around 2004 to 2005, Lassane allegedly began inappropriate conduct with a church volunteer, then simultaneously with a church employee. The complaint describes it as an affair within an affair. The complaint alleges this was known in hushed tones among Harvest staff for years. Lassane was not disciplined. Then, in 2021, Lassane was fired. According to the complaint, Harvest paid him $4 million and secured a non-disclosure agreement. No explanation was given to Harvest staff or its 15,000 weekly congregants. No public statement, nothing. A former Harvest staff member told the Roy's report, quote, "We were just told the Wednesday night service was canceled. Then the marketing team started removing all references to him on the website. All images, anything on social media. Online bios deleted, teaching videos gone, photographs scrubbed. The complaint goes further than digital housekeeping. It specifically names two sitting Harvest pastors, Paul Eaton and Robert Lawless, as having, quote, systematically scoured Harvest Riverside's substantial video archive to remove all footage of Havsgard. That is not an allegation of negligence. That is an allegation of deliberate destruction of evidence by named, currently serving church leaders. When staff members ask questions, the complaint and former employees say they were told not to gossip. A former volunteer described it to the Roy's report this way. When the staff found out, the leaders came down and said, "Do not tell anyone." It's not like it was the written policy, but it might as well have been written down. Do not talk about anything bad. 6 former Harvest employees confirmed to the Roy's report that the cover-up was, quote, true and widely known behind the scenes. A second former employee put it even more directly. Pastor Greg would say, "Make this go away," and then it would go away. It's a cover-up culture. Anything they don't like, they hide. That is a former Harvest employee, on the record, to a credentialed news outlet. Now the complaint identifies a third run of the same pattern. Brad Ormond, pastor of Harvest's Men of Valor group, a ministry counseling men who had been unfaithful in their marriages. The complaint alleges Ormond conducted a multi-year affair with a church employee while leading that very ministry. He resigned in December 2022. His wife filed for divorce the following year, per California court records. The congregation received no explanation for his departure. The complaint's framing is precise. Quote, Harvest Riverside followed the same playbook 3 different times with 3 different pastors. But the complaint argues the pattern goes back even further, to a volunteer named William Walrath. In the late 1990s, the complaint alleges Harvest removed Walrath from its children's ministry without explanation when complaints arose, then said nothing publicly. Around the year 2000, Walrath was convicted of multiple felony sexual offenses involving minors. He was sentenced to 12 years in prison. If the complaint's account is accurate, the Walrath case establishes something significant. This institution's response to internal misconduct was quiet removal over disclosure, before Romania, before Lassane, before Ormond. If you have watched a pastor quietly disappear from a pulpit with no explanation, tell me below what that looked like from where you sat. Because that experience is more common than most institutions want to admit. The complaint calls this a sophisticated cover-up machine. But Harvest is not the only institution to have run one. The mechanism has a documented history. Consider Hillsong Church, headquartered in Sydney, Australia, with a global network that at its peak operated in dozens of countries and drew tens of millions of online followers. In March 2022, founder Brian Houston resigned, following internal investigations into misconduct. The church's public identity had been inseparable from Houston's personal brand for decades. But what the Hillsong case produced that maps directly onto Harvest is the NDA instrument, used not on a departing pastor, but on an abuse survivor. According to reporting by bishopaccountability.org, Hillsong offered a settlement to abuse victim Anna Crenshaw, conditional on her signing a non-disclosure agreement. That agreement would have required her to falsely confirm that the church had reported the assault promptly. She rejected it. At Harvest, according to the complaint, there was no survivor offered an NDA. The NDA went to the pastor, the one who needed to be kept quiet. A religion news service analysis found that NDAs are, quote, inevitably part of the mix in every major evangelical scandal of the prior decade. The analysis named Mars Hill, Harvest Bible Chapel, Hillsong, Willow Creek, and Ravi Zacharias International Ministries. Each a different organization, the same tool. The religion news service identified the shared mechanism, quote, cultures of intense loyalty and fear of leadership's wrath, where employees felt they had no choice but to sign in order to receive compensation. That is precisely the environment former Harvest employees described: fear of being blacklisted from ministry employment across the network if they spoke out. The structural feature these cases share is not coincidence. It is architecture. A founding pastor who operates as, in the complaint's exact phrase, the supreme authority, with no meaningful independent oversight. When a pastor's name is the institution, when the donor base, the media profile, and the brand are all tied to one person, accountability calculus shifts. The complaint alleges that is exactly what happened at Harvest. The complaint puts a number on it. The Jesus Revolution film, a 2023 Hollywood production about Greg Laurie's early ministry, grossed $53 million at the U.S. box office in its first year. That film was produced and released while the alleged cover-up of Romania abuse was ongoing. That is the calculation the complaint asks a federal judge to consider. Now, what happened after the complaint was filed? The short answer is, the legal machinery moved, but accountability has not yet arrived. In September 2025, the first two lawsuits were filed in U.S. District Court, Central District of California. AP, NBC News, and Christianity Today all covered the filings. Harvest's official response, issued to the Associated Press and Christianity Today, read, "This misplaced lawsuit wrongly targets Harvest Riverside and our pastor as a form of financial extortion. It does not seek the truth, nor does it seek to stop the purported wrongdoer." That statement was issued in September 2025. The $4 million NDA allegation was 6 months away. In February 2026, federal judge Sunshine S. Sykes ordered all 23 lawsuits consolidated into a single filing, a move proposed by Harvest's own attorneys. That same legal team simultaneously filed proceedings in a Romanian court, arguing the claims are time-barred under Romanian law. Cooperating and fighting at the same time. On March 6, 2026, McAllister Oliverius filed the 201-page consolidated amended complaint, adding the NDA allegations, the surveillance claims, and the video archive destruction allegation against Eaton and Lawless. Ann Oliverius, the founding partner of the plaintiff firm, issued a public statement. Harvest and Laurie knowingly suppressed the scandal rather than clean it up. Our clients have been treated as collateral damage to protect a national brand. The 23 plaintiffs are current residents of Romania or other European countries. Then, on April 1, 2026, Harvest filed an emergency ex parte application in federal court, accusing lead attorney Jan Cervenka of obtaining more than 200,000 confidential church documents from a former employee. Harvest sought to delay its motion to dismiss deadline and potentially disqualify plaintiffs' counsel. Plaintiffs' attorneys responded that the document source had no NDA and was not a management employee. That dispute is unresolved as of the time of this reporting. Both sides have stated their positions. A federal judge will decide. Meanwhile, Paul Havsgaard has not been criminally charged in the United States or Romania as of mid-2026. He filed a handwritten pro se response denying all allegations, calling them, in his words, blatant, ugly lies. Riverside police confirmed to the Roy's report that no active investigation into Havsgaard exists. The first call to police came on Labor Day 2024, approximately 20 years after the 2004 inspection confirmed what it confirmed. Jeff Lassane is currently teaching Bible classes at a Southern Baptist church in Franklin, Tennessee. There has been no public disclosure of the circumstances of his departure from Harvest. Greg Laurie continues to lead Harvest Christian Fellowship. He has not addressed the $4 million allegation publicly. Harvest has called the complaint's allegations inaccurate representations of its leadership's actions. That is the reckoning so far. A live federal lawsuit, a church that has denied everything, and 23 survivors waiting for a court date. What the complaint established, however, has documentary value, regardless of the case's outcome. Because the patterns documented in this case do not belong only to Harvest. They are recognizable if you know what to look for. 5 red flags, documented in this case, present in others. Here is what to watch for in your own community. First, the quiet departure test. When a high-profile leader suddenly vanishes from the pulpit, the website, and social media with no explanation, that silence is not an administrative detail. Healthy organizations explain leadership changes. Institutions managing liability do not. The absence of a statement is itself a statement. Second, the NDA as a donor fraud instrument. When a church pays severance from congregational giving and ties it to a non-disclosure agreement, donors are funding the concealment of the very information that would change their giving. Churches that are classified as churches, not parachurch organizations, are exempt from filing IRS Form 990. Harvest is. That means zero mandatory financial transparency. Ask your church, does it use NDAs with departing staff? Are severance payments disclosed in any financial reporting? If the answer is, we don't disclose that, you now know what that answer can mean. Third, don't gossip as information control. When leadership responds to staff questions about institutional problems by labeling that inquiry as gossip or disloyalty, that framing weaponizes religious virtue against accountability. Legitimate concern is not gossip. If asking why a pastor disappeared is treated as a spiritual failing, that is a structural red flag, not a theological one. Fourth, record scrubbing as a measurable act. Online bios disappear, teaching videos are deleted, photographs are removed. These are not housekeeping. The consolidated complaint alleges they are evidence destruction. The Internet Archive's Wayback Machine captures public websites over time. If a church scrubs its staff page overnight, that deletion is often still visible in the archive. That is a publicly accessible record. Fifth, the foreign statute of limitations filing as a litigation delay tactic. Harvest's legal teams simultaneously propose consolidation, appearing cooperative, while filing proceedings in Romanian courts to argue time bar. Cooperating with the legal process and fighting accountability are not mutually exclusive in megachurch litigation. A well-resourced institution can do both. Simultaneously, the 23 survivors named in Barbu et al. V. Harvest Christian Fellowship waited decades for this case to reach a federal docket. The outcome is not yet written. What is written is the 201-page complaint, the 6 former employees on record, and the $4 million allegation that Harvest has not explained. The documents exist, the case is live. The church exemption that shields institutions like Harvest from mandatory financial reporting has stood since 1954. Should churches that operate with this level of concealment, alleged or otherwise, lose it? That is a question for the comments. If you think churches that refuse to open their financial books to their own congregants should lose that exemption, make the case below. If you think the exemption is worth protecting, tell me why.